Hi everyone, it's Nancy. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I'm back finally, and I wanted to share some tags with you that I made, and I thought we could make a couple of them together. The thing about these tags is these are using vellum, and I haven't seen a lot of people use vellum of late. So I thought maybe it'd be good to do a video on, incorporating vellum into your tags. I have a ton of vellum in a folder in my drawer, all different, I've printed vellum, colored vellum. But if you don't have any vellum, you can get it online easily at Amazon, or there's another place online I buy paper from. It's called Paper and More. I believe they have vellum. But all you have to do is Google colored vellum, and there will be lots of places to go to get some. So there you go. Let me just show you these tags first. This one is really simple. I collaged the background of a basic shipping tag, and then wrapped this vellum. I tore it, wrapped it around the card the way I wanted it, and then I stamped the dragonfly on it with Stays-On ink. And the reason why I use Stays-On ink for vellum is because this ink is made for non-porous surfaces, and vellum is a very non-porous type of paper. I don't even know if it's a paper. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's why I use the Stays-On. Sometimes I'll hold it up to my halogen lamp to let it dry a little bit, but when I looked it up, Stays-On, on how to use it, they didn't say anything about having to heat set it. They just said, it takes about, a few more minutes than other inks to dry. So make sure you let the vellum dry before you start working with it after you stamp on it. And I'll show you, I thought I'd show you in this video how I made this little dangle out of wire. And then this is just a bunch of various eyelash yarns that I put on the tag, and then I tied them together with a piece of yarn. And this one I really like. This is Artie Maze's collage paper that I used for the tag. I just printed it out on, a heavyweight paper, and then sewed it to a cardstock. This one has two little pockets and a vellum where you can stick tags, and then a little butterfly on that. And I thought we'd make this one too. So these two are the ones, I'm going to make one similar to these two today. And then this one is just another one similar to the dragonfly, except that I used a collage background, and then I put on it's not a fussy cut, it's a Tim Holtz die cut flowers, and then I stamped a word on the vellum and then wrapped it around. And on this one I left it open in the back to show you how to wrap it around, and you can actually put a little bit of glue on each side of the vellum, and then put your cardstock on top of that. That way you don't have glue showing around the vellum. You don't have to use a sewing machine, and it covers everything up. So that's that tag, and I really like this one. This one is just a tag, a collage background, and then I tore the vellum to go vertically down the tag, and I sewed it on to make a little side pocket like this. And then this is actually this is, I believe, a Tracy Fox fussy cut mushrooms. One of her fussy cut mushrooms. And I actually printed it on washi paper, and then I stuck the sticker on, but then I thought, well, I want it to hang over, but I don't want it to stick. So I just, what I did was I put some acetate on this little part that sticks out to cover up the sticky part, so that tag that you stick in the pocket doesn't get stuck to it. And then I just have some various colors of cording on here. Believe it or not, I believe I got this at Walmart in the jewelry department. So there's that. So let's get started making some tags. We'll start with the dragonfly, because that's the more simpler one. And I picked out some colors here. I wasn't sure whether to do green, or I could do that color, which is kind of dark. And then I came across the yellow, and I thought, that might work. And then I came across this, like, it's kind of like a cream color. If you hold it up next to the yellow, it's not actually white vellum. It's like a cream color vellum, and I think that looks the best. So I think I'm gonna do that color. And then all we have to do, now I did find out when I was doing these tags that vellum definitely has two directions, just like paper does. When you tear it one way, it'll be more difficult to tear a straight line than when you tear it another way. So to find that out, all you have to do is start tearing, and you'll realize which direction you're going in. So we want it to go at an angle, so let's just start tearing. You need to fold over about that much. So here we go, tearing. Now that teared pretty easily. Watch, after I tell you that, it'll tear real easily. But some vellums do definitely have a direction to them. So I wanted to go at a slant, so I'm gonna tear up. I'm gonna actually tear the other side, make it pretty, not too even, but about the same width all along. Now let's see if, and then I'm gonna put it on the tag at a diagonal like that. Now what I did was, to make sure I had my, it centered right and positioned right, I just took it and I folded it over first. And then I put some good old washi tape to hold it down, like that. To make sure it stays in place and it's where I want it to be. And I'm thinking I might want it to be just a little bit lower. So this washi tape is pretty sticky. I should have rubbed it on my clothes first. So let's move it down a little bit lower. Right about there, I think. Put some tape on that side. And then put some tape on that side. And since this is a pretty flat card underneath, and I don't have any anything collaged underneath, I'm just gonna stamp it as while it's lying over the tag. But if you do have some kind of like bulk underneath, I would stamp it first and then put the vellum on. The one thing I forgot to do is ink it, because I do want a little bit of inking, and the reason why is because I think it makes it stand out a little bit more. See if you can see on that tag, it makes it stand out a little bit more. So let's take this off. Do a little, just a little. I'm using Distress Ink Hickory Smoke, and I thought at first that it wouldn't stay on the vellum, but I haven't had any problem with it. And this was antique, not antique, but vintage photo, which is also distress. So we'll try it again and see if it works. So here's the little inking that I do. So let's put it back on our tag where we wanted it, which is right about there. Now also be aware that once you fold vellum, it's not as forgiving as paper. So, you know, once that fold is made, it's made. So there you go. There we've got, let's just straighten it out, flatten it out a little bit. Sometimes I'll tape down if I'm stamping with washi tape to make it stay in place. And this is Stays On Timber Brown. So get that inked up. Good amount of ink on there, because I had problems with this image coming out clearly the first time around. Now here I did it a little off center, so I want to make sure my stamp falls within that area, because I want it off center again. And I really hope that I left enough room. So let's just go for it. And then pressure. I'm going to let it sit on there for a little bit. Some of the clear stamps are harder. I have more difficulty using with Stays On sometimes, because the ink doesn't want to stick. Seems like it doesn't want to stick to that polymer plastic that they use, or whatever it is called. So let's see how what we got here. Sometimes Stays On will also stick a little to vellum. There's definitely a shiny side and a dull side to vellum. So it's best to stamp on the shiny side. So let's lift up. Yay, it came out good. A little bit too low, but that's fine with me. Okay, so now we're gonna make this little charm here. And what I did for that, just to make it different and interesting, I used this set of wires that I got ages ago. I mean, literally ages ago. And before I did the video, I did some research to see if these, even if a set like this, if you can get a set like this, and you can get it on Amazon. I would look up artistic wire or colored wire, and you want like a high number in the gauge, which would be like 28. Because the higher the number in the gauge, the smaller and more pliable the wire is. The lower the number, the thicker the wire is, and which means it's harder to bend. So I chose, for this one I used, I think I used this dark brown on here, but for this one I thought we'd go for purple. We could do blue, we could do green, but I think I'll do purple, just to be different. So take the wire, and I measured out about 18 inches, I think it was. So that's about 12. That looks like plenty. I think 18 inches is way too much, but for some reason that's the number I wrote down. And this stuff you don't really need. I didn't really need a jewelry tool to work with it. So I kind of straightened it out a little. It does help to have this one with the flat nose pliers, because sometimes you can take one end of it and pull, and it helps you straighten your wire out a little bit. So let's just start with this wire, and I've got some beads over here. I thought I'd do some seed beads, and I pulled out gold. These are kind of like I don't know, they're kind of like a platinum color. And I'm not sure if the wire is going to fit through all of these. We'll see. And these are kind of like a purplish color. And this is kind of like an off-white. So we'll try them all, see if they go through the wire. So I'll just take my wire and pick up the seed beads like this. And the white ones go. So why don't we see if the gold ones will go? Yep. So we'll do, let's see, a couple gold ones. We'll do 2 white ones. And we'll do a couple or a few purple ones. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all in good health and happy. I know it's hard to be sometimes with life, but that's the, yep. And then some gold ones. Oh, I dropped a white one. There's a white. I seem to have lost my gold one on the other end, so I'll pick it up. A gold one on this end. And sorry, I had to wake up my computer so I can see what I'm doing, or if I'm in frame. There we go. Now we got it. And we got our 2 gold ones. So there we got some beads on the end. And you could actually fill out that whole wire if you wanted to. And then you just make sure you have good ends on each end, long ends. Then you just take it and you just, crisscross it, kind of shape it into your little loop, which you can fiddle with some more after you have it done. And then, measure on your card, see where you want it to fall. And I think I'm going to shorten this up just a little bit, like right there. And then you just take this wire, one of the ends, and make a wrap around the other wire. And it makes a real pretty wrap. Like that. Not my best wrapping, but close. And then I just took it and threaded it through this. You'll want to do this after you back your tag, if it needs to be backed with some cardstock, and then twisted it again to secure it to tag. And if you want, well, actually what I did to cover up the wire was when I put the eyelash trim on the tag, I made sure I covered up this end here. And then just take your scissors and snip it off. And it's real easy to cut that wire with scissors. And because it's so bendable, you can play around with it as much as you want to get it to fall where you want, like that. And then I'd run my eyelash yarn through the holes, and then your tag is done. Just like that. So let's move on to the other tag. And this one, oh, what I wanted to say about this one too is if you want, you can, to secure these sides here, you can always, if you have a sewing machine and you like to sew, you can sew around the card and sew the vellum to the card instead of folding it around to the back. And actually what I should have done is glued it, but you know how to glue, so I won't do that. But yeah, you can secure it with sewing, and then you can leave, and I'll show you on this tag how I did it. You can leave an edge, lightly draw a line so you have a guide to follow on your sewing machine if you can't see well enough through the vellum. And then once it's sewn, I kind of folded it over lightly on the edge and tore the vellum, so it had this torn look on the edge. So we have our other tag. Where is it? Here it is. This one I made with some, cut out a tag with some Prima paper that I got recently, and I picked out 2 butterflies I thought I would put up here. Oop, big one. I think it was like that, small one. And I mean, if you want, you can have the butterfly's wing hang over the edge. Make it interesting. And then I was trying to decide, I didn't have too many papers that went with this, but I think I decided on the purple is one pocket, and then I was thinking the pink looked better than the gray. The gray seemed too dark, and I wanted like a dark and a light, so I went with the pink. I wish I had like a light purple, but I don't. And a darker pink didn't look great either, like this one. I didn't like the darker pink, so we will go with the real light pink. And there's 2 ways you could either do that as the bottom, and that is the top, but I like it with the dark on the bottom and the light on the top. So all you do is this one is, you know, give yourself a bit of an edge, about a ½ inch or so, and I just mark that with my finger. Now see how I'm tearing here? This is definitely the direction of the paper where it doesn't tear real straight, but I can always cut it too. I think I'll finish off with some scissors. And then we need to make it, we want to make an angle, so we will go up as high as the high side of the angle, and we'll cut across this bottom here. Just roughly cut it. And then what I did to get the angle is I kind of took it and I like lightly folded it just to get the direction I was going in. So you don't get a real, you know, a tear that looks like really wonky. So, see? And then I kind of tear right below that fold line. And that gives me my angle. So, that's my first one. And I take my pink one. Let's cut it down a little bit so we know what we're doing. So it can work better. And slip that one underneath. Yeah. Now what I would do is, and you want it to overlap. It's okay. So I want to go up pretty high. Let's see. I'm kind of gauging it from this tag that I made. So let's make it about like right there. You should be, yep, you've got the bottom. Enough to tear on the bottom. Keep putting that up high. So, I want to fold right about there. Hold your other piece down to use as a guide. There you got your light fold. And let's hope this tears just as easily as the other one. You want to try and tear under your line, but sometimes it's really hard to do. Here. There's a little bit of a point there I don't want. So, see if we can get that out without doing too much damage. Yeah. Sometimes it's good when you're tearing to use your thumb as a guide so you don't go over where you want to tear. And there we've got our layered pockets. And then you put them where you want first. Let's see, this hangs down. We want enough at the bottom to tear off. And then we have a little shallow pocket at the bottom here. That'll work. That gives us more room for our butterflies too. So, all right. Now what we do is take the first layer off and kind of the sides here with your finger or a pencil. Either way, take some washi tape. Stay. This time I'm going to put it on my sleeve so it's not as sticky. Okay. And I tape it in place. I don't press down too hard on it since it's pretty sticky washi tape. And then I put this one on. Do the same. And that holds it in place for you to sew around like that. So I'm gonna go sew around this and I will be back. Yeah, I mean I would love to show you the sewing, but I have an old machine and it's over there in the corner and it's really hard to bring around to this tiny workspace. So I'll be right back. So I sewed around it, and I sewed all the way around the tag and secured the vellum. You don't have to sew it all the way around. You can sew only up to maybe, a 1/4 of an inch above the pocket if you top of the pocket here and there, if you want to. But I think it looks better when you sew all the way around. So now we want to tear off the edges because I like the look of that. So I kind of fold it down again to get a line to tear on. And I'll tell you something that happened while I was off camera. So while I was messing around with the tag. So you just start tearing. You want to do it a little gingerly and slowly because sometimes it can really go off and then you won't have a tear that you like. So here we go. So that looks pretty good. And tear off just a little bit on this corner here. You can always trim it up a little bit with the scissors if you want. So let's get rid of these scraps. Alright, well, while I was off camera I thought, well gee, I really wanted to ink around the edges and I forgot to do that. So I tried pulling on the pocket and sticking my inker inside, and as a result I ended up tearing it a little. But that can easily be fixed by putting a butterfly over that little tear there. And it'll hold the tear together and all is fixed. So there you go, a mistake that can be covered up. So let's put our butterflies on. Get a little bit of ink around the edges here. You don't want it to make it stick out a little. I'll show you another thing that I do sometimes when I want a little, when I want the, you know, the image to stand out a little bit, is I'll take a marker, like a black marker, like this one, that has a medium tip on it, and I'll take a piece of paper, sketch paper, and you have to be really careful because sometimes you can slip, but I just draw around the edge of it like this, making sure that I come in contact with the edge of the shape, and it gives it a little bit of a, you know, it makes it stand out a little bit. So that's another way to make your shape stand out on your tag or your journal card rather than having to ink. So just make sure it's a marker that's gonna stick. If it's a glossy surface, make sure it's a marker that's gonna stick to a glossy surface like a Sharpie. So let's finish inking around this one. Don't know if it's gonna stick too much because it's distress ink and this is a shiny surface. These cutouts from Tim Holtz. These butterflies are from Tim Holtz collections. Alright, so let's have the butterfly hang off. So we'll take some glue. This is art glitter glue, but any white glue will work. And rub that on the antennas so they stick. And so I turned the heater off in my room. It gets cold down here in the winter time because I didn't want you hearing it humming away in the background. But the weather here in Ohio this year has been really crazy, kind of crazy. It's been up and down and up and down. And it seems like one day it's 50 degrees, another day it's 40 degrees with a breeze, and another day it's like 30s. So it's just up and down. It just doesn't want to stay at any one temperature range at all. And then we'll get snow, and then it'll warm up and all the snow will melt, and then we'll get rain. So it's been kind of crazy. So there's your butterflies. Then now, I know I tore that and I need to cover it up, but I'm only making this tag for video purposes. So I wanted to try something different. I thought maybe it would look cool if we could stamp right over these three and what it would look like. So, and I meant 3 layers. This one, and this one. So I need my block. I think I had it out here. A little stamping block. And put our butterfly on there. Sorry, I keep forgetting to stay in frame. And I'm going to use black StazOn, which is right here. Can't lose my pin. I need to put a magnet on my bottle so I can put my pin on it. Okay, so let's try this. See what it looks like. It takes the ink well. And we'll do it which way? Oh, definitely this way. So we'll stamp it. Let's move this right about. Let's try that. Now it stays on. It'll dry real fast on your stamp, so you can't wait too long, or your ink will dry out. Let's see what this looks like. Ta-da! That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. Yeah. But as I said, you can also put a die cut like this over it. So there you have it. There's your tag with your pockets. Now, I was trying to think of ways you could attach the vellum if you don't have a sewing machine without the glue showing through. And one idea I thought of was, and then folding it over. You could try folding it over, but and miter your corners, but that might be, difficult, and your corners might show through. So the other idea I had was you could glue it down, run a bead of glue around your edge, make your pocket, and then put like a piece of trim or a thin piece of ribbon around the edge to cover up the glue. That was one idea I had. And that would also work. I was thinking that would also work for this tag that I showed you. This would be hard folding it because you'd have to, make sure your corners are just right to fold over this angle here. Of course, you could do it with a tag that, has square sides and not angled sides. That might be easier, but the same thing, glue it down and then put like a trim of some sort around the edge, cover up the glue. So I also wanted to show you, to finish off the tag, I used some of this lace that had, holes in it, and you can run ribbon through it. But instead I ran some eyelash yarn through it. So I got my lace here. This one, I wanted it was almost too white because the lace I have is white. So I just took tea dye, which is right here, tea dye distress ink, and my inking tool, and just pounced on it, and it gave it enough of a you know, creamier color to coordinate with the tag. So let's cut off, match our holes up like that. So we want to cut off the lace right here. Aside. And this one I'll probably keep white. It looks okay white. And I picked out this variegated eyelash yarn. I've had it for a while and I don't even know. I probably bought it to knit with, but I don't remember what I knitted with it, to be honest with you. So all you do is just run your eyelash yarn through the holes. Grab your yarn there and then weave it through. And there's no real trick to this, just grab onto it. Keep weaving through your yarn. Okay. I am going to pause this and I'll be right back. So I got the eyelash yarn all woven through the holes, and I just matched up the lace, took some fabric tack, my paper towel, wipe off it. Ugh. Gets all over my fingers. And then instead of tying it or looping it, I just stuck the two sides together with some fabric tack. That way it keeps the eyelash yarn in place, and this is just the best way to do it. And then got that tag topper. I need to trim the ends a little. And I was just looking at the back of this tag, and it has this neat design on the back. You could probably leave it like that. You know, people could write right over that. Or you could just like take some paper and tear the sides and stick it on, give them a place to write. So there you have it. We have the two tags that we made and the other two ideas I gave you. And that's it for tags today. So I hope you liked the video, and I plan to come back with some more tag ideas in the future. And I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you soon, and goodbye for now.